Okay, the third fight, a huge fight in the UFC Heavyweight division. It's a future fight to be announced. The date is not set yet, but it's going to probably happen between Mir and Cain Velasquez. And we're going to throw it over to Mike first. Mike, I have to open Cain, a decent favorite over Mir. It's going to be minus 355. The comeback on Mir is going to be plus 265. Give me your take and give me your bet.
As much fanfare and respect as Mir gets, I think we can agree that when the going gets tough, he tends to get out of the fight. When you saw him against Carwin, Padapano, Lesnar, Vera, you kind of got to see what I refer to as the bend in Mir, and he takes a couple, he goes for a couple submission attempts, takes a couple hard punches, and it looks like he doesn't want to be there. You even saw that in the opening exchange against Nogueira. The one thing about Velasquez is that in his fight against Junior Dos Santos, he got away from what made him a world champion, and that was world-class ground and pound. I think that Mir will probably take Mir down. Mir will go through for a couple sub-attempts. When he doesn't get them, I see Velasquez finishing him in the first round. One of the interesting facts that about this fight is that when you add both of their records together, they've got 31 fights between the two of them, and only 4 of which have been outside of the UFC. I mean, these are 2 world-class athletes. I'm actually really excited to see this fight. I'm going Velasquez, and I would bet real heavy on that fight if I were to do that.
Okay, so it's going to be 1775, so 1,775 to win 500 at those steep odds, minus 355. Valid points for Mike, and let's see if Steve agrees with you. Steve, what do you think, Velasquez or Mir?
Yeah, I think it's great that we finally got a fight we can totally agree on here, and I think it might even be more lopsided than the line shows right now, because you look at Mir lately, he's been bulking up to get to a bigger heavyweight size, and the more weight and muscle he packs on, the more sluggish he gets in his stand-up game. And if you put stand-up versus stand-up, there's just no question. I mean, Mir might be an absolute genius on the ground, a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but on the feet, he's going to get owned by any good striker. And Velasquez isn't just a good striker, he's a great striker. So I don't even think Mir's going to get this fight to the ground. If it does happen there, if he does manage to get there, I think Velasquez would use his wrestling background to get it right back up and just go back to striking again. And I think he's probably going to finish him off before this fight goes very long. So, no matter how long these odds get, you just have to put your money on Velasquez, because he's going to be able to fend off any attempt to get submitted, and he's just going to outstrike Mir, and Mir's just going to be too slow for him. So I'm glad Mike and I agree on this one 100%. I put all my money on Cain Velasquez.
Okay, so you're in agreement with Mike. You're also going to lay $17.75 to win $500 on Cain Velasquez. And man, am I glad I opened it at least 3.5 to 1, because I think we're going to see this line climb up to over 4 to 1 when it does hit the sports book. So both guys in agreement. And again, we see this fight taking place down the road at a future event.
Well, that's it for another episode of MMA Odds Breakers. You can look for the odds that Nick broke right here on the show to start popping up at the sport books by the end of the week. And I want to thank our special guests, Steve Juon and Mike Davis. Great job on the Odds Breaker segment, guys. Thanks a ton.
And don't forget, you can always check us out at Twitter, at MMA Oddsbreaker, for all the latest show updates. For Miguel Iturrate, I'm Nick Kalikas saying until next time, enjoy the fights.